Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Most. Today I'm going to continue working on this form, and what I'm going to do specifically is that I'm going to add a button. And that button will not work unless the username and the password are valid. If both are valid, then we will let the user click on the login. Otherwise, we will not let the user continue. We will ask the user to edit what he typed in the username and or the password. So what I'm going to do first here is that I'm going to create a button here, button, and this button will have an ID of login button, and also I'm going to add style. Let's say that the width is 300 and the button will say login. So now we have a button. Let's refresh and see. If I refresh, as you can see, we have a button, and of course nothing will happen if I click on it. Now let's make a reference to this button in the Javascript, in the script. So here I'm going to create var login button equals to document.getElement by ID, and then we pass the ID, which is login button. So now we can use this login button to add click event. So what I'm going to do is that just below the password here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add click event to this button.add event listener, and the event that we want is click, and the callback function here, function, and here inside this function what we need this button to do after we click on it. And as I told you, we need to disable this button until the user types a correct username and a correct password. And in order to accomplish that, what we need to do is that we need to add a way to check if the username and the password are correct. And what I'm going to do is that inside the username and inside the password, in the else, what I'm going to do is that I am going to use a Boolean variable, username valid equals to true. And inside the password event, add event listener, in the else statement, of course, it means that all conditions are met and the password is valid and correct. And the same for the username. In the else statement, everything is okay. And here we say also password valid equals to true. And of course, we need to create these two variables at the beginning here. And I'm going to create these two variables. Var username valid equals to false. Why? Because we want to disable the button. We want to disable this button at the beginning of the load of the page, because obviously after the user comes to this page, there will be no username or password. So this button will be disabled initially. So here as well, the password will be password valid. The variable password valid will be also false. And it will only be true, these two will be true only if conditions are met. If the username length is greater than 10 characters, and if it doesn't include this word. That way the username will be valid, and we will say that the username valid equals to true. For the password, we do the same. Here if the password is more than 6 characters, and if the password includes this sign, the exclamation and the hyphen, then at this point the password will be valid, and we will change the password valid variable to true. And in the click event now, the most important part, which is checking the password valid and the username valid variables value. Using if statement here, if the username valid equals to true, or just username valid, and if the password valid equals to true, if both are true, then at this point we can continue and do whatever we want. Here I'm just going to use alert, the alert function, just to display that everything is perfect. Here we can say continue or login. So at this point, we can call our backend and pass the username and the password to check if they are correct in the backend. And we also need to make sure that the username valid and the password valid are false each time the user clicks on a button. So here in the password, what I'm going to do is that I am going to use the password valid equals to false. And also the username username valid equals to false. Now if I save, let's save and run and test. Now if I refresh, if I click on the button, nothing will happen, obviously, because there is no username and there is no password either. Let's now add a username. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, now the username is correct. If I click on the login, nothing will happen because the password is not valid. There is no password. And the password valid is false. So if I add a password here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also exclamation mark, if I click on the login now, as you can see, a pop-up window will be displayed with the continue our program, which means that the username and the password are valid. But if the username is not valid, or if the password is not valid, or if both aren't valid, then the login button will not work. So that's it for this tutorial. If you liked this video, share, like, and also subscribe. I'll also check the description below because I have created a free ebook on how to make money online coding. This is Most. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.